This video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, Ahsoka wouldn't exist. Learn more about the strike at the link in the description. Part 4 of Ahsoka, titled Fallen Jedi, had several fun Star Wars Easter eggs, references, and other connections to the rest of the Star Wars universe. Here's everything I found. Near the start, Ahsoka refers to Thrawn as heir to the Empire. That was the title of the very first book by Timothy Zahn that introduced the character. Ahsoka tells Sabine that sometimes they have to do what's right, regardless of their personal feelings. That's not an exact quote from Anakin, but it's very similar to something he says to Padme in Attack of the Clones. Ahsoka using the Force to hold an enemy in the line of friendly fire is like something straight out of the Star Wars Jedi games. You can see the Ghost in earlier episodes, but this is easily the best look we've gotten of Hera's ship so far. Of course, it features heavily in Star Wars Rebels, but also appears in Rogue One and The Rise of Skywalker at the battles of Scarif and Exegol respectively. It's a VCX-100, the same type of ship Han claims to have while he's playing Sabacc against Lando in Solo: A Star Wars Story. I didn't catch this initially, but Gizmodo pointed out that you can barely see a picture of Kanan Jarrus in the Ghost's cockpit. He was a main character of Star Wars Rebels and was the father of Jacen Syndulla. Carson Teva seems like he could easily become a common factor in all of these New Republic-era stories. I think he's the only character so far that appears in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. The pilot, Lieutenant Lander, is played by Brendan Wayne. He's the actor who is usually wearing Din Djarin's armor in The Mandalorian, so it's great to see his face on screen. Carson refers to Hera as Phoenix Leader. In Star Wars Rebels, she and her rebel cell joined up with Phoenix Group, and she became the head of their starfighter squadron. Ahsoka calmly preparing to strike against Marrok and then timing it through the spinning blades reminds me of how Obi-Wan defeated Maul in Star Wars Rebels. Marrok's disintegration after his death is awfully similar to what happened to an Inquisitor Ahsoka faced in the Tales of the Jedi animated series. It also reminds me of the way Night Sister magic leaks out of Savage Opress during his death. It's not quite the same, but I think it's possible Marrok could have been enhanced or maybe even reanimated by one of Morgan's spells. That would line up with his namesake, the Night Marrok of Arthurian legend, who was magically transformed into a werewolf. The runes behind Ahsoka in the map are difficult to make out, but I know the final word is occlusion. I think it says something of occlusion, but I can only make out a handful of runes in the first word. The only thing I can think of that this could refer to is the occlusion zone from the High Republic, which is an area of space that the leader of the villainous Nihil carved out for himself in the Outer Rim. He set up devices that prevented hyperspace travel into the occlusion zone, keeping the Republic away. Ahsoka's duel with Baylan also reminds me of Obi-Wan's final duel with Maul, the way they shift stances around to keep their opponent guessing before striking. Baylan's slower but terrifyingly heavy strikes are reminiscent of the crossguard stance in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I don't think that was an intentional reference or anything, it's just what I thought of when I saw him fighting. Instead of the Force, Sabine uses her Mandalorian wrist rockets to throw Shin off balance. This is just like in Star Wars Rebels, where she used her Mandalorian vambraces to mimic the Force in various ways while she trained with the Darksaber. Baylan mentions Sabine's family dying on Mandalore. In Star Wars Rebels, Sabine helped start the Mandalorian uprising that led to the Great Purge of Mandalore that we've heard mentioned several times in The Mandalorian and briefly saw in the Book of Boba Fett. Her family included her mother, Ursa Wren, her father, Ulrich Wren, and her brother, Tristan. The build-up to the Eye of Sion's jump to hyperspace is especially tense after seeing the damage a hyperspace collision can cause in The Last Jedi. The realm Ahsoka finds herself in at the end of the episode is called the World Between Worlds. It first appeared in Star Wars Rebels, and that was Ahsoka's first trip there. It exists outside of space and time, so in Rebels, Ezra was basically able to reach into the past to save Ahsoka from certain death at the hands of Darth Vader. It's very possible Ahsoka might be able to use the World Between Worlds to reach the galaxy where Sabine and the others have traveled. And of course, she might get some emotional closure with her master as well. The character at the end is named Anakin Skywalker, and he's kind of a big deal. I'm joking, obviously, but how great was it to see Hayden Christensen in the role for the second time in just over a year? This will be many fans' first time seeing him interacting with Ahsoka on screen, and hopefully it will serve as a gateway for them to check out The Clone Wars. But that's everything I noticed. Let me know what I missed in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Ahsoka coverage, follow us on our socials, and check out our Patreon page for video reactions and audio commentaries for every episode. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.